Hello, everyone. My name is Derek Crabtree, and I'm doing my presentation on venous thromboembolisms, also known as blood clots. My reason for choosing this is because I've been affected by this throughout my life. The one that I suffered from was extremely life changing, and just from all the time that I've had to deal with it, I've actually gained a lot of personal knowledge. So it was interesting to see the stuff that I already knew and doing really in-depth research on it. So a blood clot is basically like a coagulation. It's kind of like if you were to cut yourself and your body were to create a scab. Well, that's the blood coagulating. It's a mass of blood that forms from either platelets, proteins, or cells, and it's meant to stop bleeding. Well, when it happens inside the body, it's not so much of a good thing. Usually, when someone is dealing with a blood clot and they know it's a blood clot, they would work with a hematologist. Hematology is the study of blood and blood diseases. So this is the person that you would be referred to that would help with recovery and dealing with everything. But blood clots usually form from either injuries, health issues. So if you have poor health, you have high blood pressure, if you're overweight, taking what is it called? Hormone therapy, being pregnant. A lot of these things can increase the risk for that. And then also post surgery. So a lot of people, when they end up having surgery, they are in recovery and maybe laying in a hospital bed for a long period of time. If you develop a blood clot from this is called healthcare associated venous thromboembolism, or HAVTE. So with my injury, it starts off, this is like a type of blood clot. It's called a deep vein thrombosis, or a DVT. It's where a blood clot forms in one of the limbs, typically happens down in the legs. And if not treated, the blood clot can become dislodged and moves up towards your lungs and heart. And that's where it really causes damage. When it moves to the lungs, it's called a pulmonary embolism. And um, so some of the statistics that I found on there's an organization called the National Blood Clot Alliance. They've been around for quite a while, but they had some statistics that I actually saw from a number of websites. They have recorded, not exact, but about 900,000 cases every year of someone developing a blood clot, and well over half of those have caused people to be hospitalized. And then they also have statistics showing that about 274 deaths every day, which equal to just over 100,000 a year, were caused from a blood clot. So from a blood clot in the limbs, typically in the legs, or also in the lungs. Another type of blood clot is one that happens in the brain. It's called cerebral venous sinus thrombosis. These will end up causing a stroke. So creating, stopping like the amount of oxygen and blood being able to make it to the brain, different regions of the brain. And this can also cause hemorrhaging. I actually have a little brother who, when he was in the womb, he had a blood clot, and it caused him to have a stroke. And he was able to make it through, so his body somehow created a path around it, and now he has some cognitive issues, but not too bad. And then he has cerebral palsy that affects his right hand down. So he had to do a lot of therapy to correct that. And then also for the hemorrhaging, an issue with that, I actually have a quote from John Hopkins medical team. On their website, they have an article that says, this prevents blood from draining out of the brain. As a result, the blood cells may break and leak back into the brain tissues, which forms the hemorrhaging. And then also, this is one of the most deadliest versions because it can cause instant death. Um, Another issue or other issues, different types of risks. So, especially with what's been going on recently over these past couple of years, is COVID-19. Now, there's been a number of studies. There's been a report put out by the Surgeon General that um, shows that COVID had created rogue antibodies that would affect people's bodies and would cause these antibodies to attack the person's own organs. And so with some of these issues, it was kind of like a cycle where COVID-19 would increase a person's chances of having a blood clot, and then having a blood clot would increase the person's or lower the person's immune system, causing them to have increased chances of contracting COVID-19. Other issues were the amount of recurrence. So if a person already had a blood clot, they are automatically put at, I think it's a 10% chance of having another one. But over the years, going up to 8 years after, those chances increased and kind of plateau at about 30% chance of recurrence. So over time, if a person's already had a blood clot, they should routinely see a doctor to be checked. And then as a matter of race, blacks and whites are typically have a higher chance, with blacks actually being 30% higher rate of contracting a blood clot than a white person, and then also has Asians as the least likely to have a blood clot. So with diagnosing, doctors will typically use CT scans, they'll run MRIs and ultrasounds. Those are really common. And then obviously blood tests, because that is like the most definitive way to find out. And then for treatments, there's a number of things. Really common are blood thinners. Depending on the severity of the blood clot, you could be on blood thinners for a year and a half. And these don't, like, it doesn't break down the blood clot, and like it says, it thins your blood and it prevents your body from building onto that blood clot and allows your body to break it down on its own. And then there's also heparin shots, which are like concentrated blood thinners. Those go straight into your system, and those are meant to break up the clots, especially if like they're in the lungs. You need to move out the way because you're not getting oxygen going through. And then things to prevent like beforehand would be diet and exercise. And then if you do end up catching getting a blood clot, you do want to eat proper foods, low fats. You want to lower your cholesterol, your blood pressure. You want to keep those at proper levels. And then also, if you had a blood clot that was a DVT, so it was in one of the limbs, especially the legs, you want to wear compression sleeves because those are going to help increase your blood flow through those areas. And then also, if someone is using blood thinners, you have to be careful for men. Like if you're shaving, well, I guess men and women, like, you know, whatever, if you're shaving different body parts, you have to be careful because if you do cut yourself, this medication can prevent you from stopping the bleed, so you could bleed out. Also, if you're getting tattoos, you don't want to bleed out on the table. So that's it for my presentation. I definitely learned a lot, able to add on to all the knowledge that I already had, and I hope you guys can as well. Thank you.